All right. Good evening. It's October 8th. We're here in beautiful Town Hall. Welcome to the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. First item of our general business is a Pledge of Allegiance for our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No.
Excellent. Anybody else? Nope. I would accept a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Don't quite have time for meeting minutes. Do I have any announcements in here?
No.
Excellent.
That's an end of the meeting related thing.
No, that makes sense. So no announcements. Any accounts payable?
Yes. And do I have that or do you have that?
I thought I saw something at the back, but
It's the bill for the nameplate. Not that.
thank you. All right. It's for two nameplates, $15 a piece, $10 in shipping, total of $40. We won't take anything off for spelling. Were they spelled correctly?
As far as I can tell.
I think so, because shipping from factory was not spelled properly. The from is missing the M. Dismaying for people who make their business putting letters on stuff.
They were saving space.
There you go.
When we used a different vendor for this time, Becky used to use Lenart Press and went to their website or their phone number, not in service. So
Interesting.
it's just down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for $40 to pay for two nameplates. So besides the excitement of having to get two nameplates, because we needed two nameplates, I would entertain a motion to pay $40 to J&S Business Products in on Main Street in Ayer.
Local.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Notice there's no M in their name either. Interesting. That was the only one?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. It is now 7:15. We have a public hearing for a notice of intent for Hagel LLC at 78 Sandy Pond Road. Do we have a DEP file number?
Nope.
Okay. Didn't know if it came in today. Used to always be the way that they would come in on Thursday.
Yeah.
She would take the agenda, print the agenda, and the number would come in 10 minutes later.
And I tried to track down a DEP file number today with no luck.
There you go.
Well, good. That's confirmation on both ends then.
Good evening. I'm Robert Oliver with David Ross Associates. Here tonight on behalf of Hagel LLC, the owner of this property at 78 Sandy Pond Road. If anybody wants to see this, I don't know if do I need to turn this for you?
That's fine.
Okay. The existing site, we were in here for a request for determination. It was determined that we needed to file a notice of intent. We have done that. We're here with a notice of intent. We have gone out and gotten some additional information on the site. We went out, we've got real topography on the ground by survey. We've located all the structures. So what you have in front of you is a revision to the original plan that was submitted, including existing conditions information that was prepared by actual survey work. The proposal is the same. The proposal is to tear down the existing house at 78 Sandy Pond Road with construction of a new house further back from the pond. So what you see here on the pond in blue is the actual water elevation at the date of survey. The top of the bank, which is we are denoting as the resource area, to the pond as there are no bordering vegetated wetlands. So this green line is the top of the bank. The water level is actually about 2 or 3 feet down from the top of that bank. So what we're showing is a 25-foot setback to the pond, to the bank, and the 100-foot buffer zone here in red. So the proposal is to tear down this house, which you can see is pretty much right up against the bank. There's a 3-season porch and another porch that I didn't highlight, so the structure is actually very close to the top of the bank. The proposed house is shown here colored in brown. Essentially, that's a footprint of the house we had previously. It's just an outline of it. My client doesn't know exactly what size footprint he's building yet, so we've tried to show a conservatively sized footprint in the area where the house will go. New driveway shown here. I've shown an approximate stockpile area for when this gets stripped off. The owner actually owns the property next door as well, so we can utilize that area, even though it straddles the property line, since he owns both properties. We're showing a straw water line here, basically around the entire site, within the buffer zone to the corner of this house. And then there are 2 trees that we're still proposing to take down. There's an existing maple and an existing pine tree in this location. They're both in pretty rough shape, and the owner would like to take them down while he's out there working and under the notice of intent. So that is the project in a nutshell. I can certainly answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. So, did you lay out where the soil pile would be?
Yeah.
I see the.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
highlight
okay.
it, but it's
I just couldn't see it through the chair.
Yep.
That's perfect.
cross-hatched as far as the way we can get it out of the buffer zone.
No, wonderful. So, for the sake of information, I visited the site with Robert and the owner 4 weeks ago.
Somewhere in there.
Did a site walk on a Saturday morning to discuss the request for determination of applicability, and came to the conclusion that it wasn't the right instrument for this. And so we ended up with an NOI filing, talked about how important it was to get the grade information, locate the house, and all part of that, which was fantastic, was learning that the owner really didn't plan for the new house to tuck up against the bank the way the existing one does. So one of the things that we did talk about was when the house was torn down, making sure that the protection was in place first, et cetera, and it was a good on-site meeting. I would like to recommend, after we do questions, that we set up another site walk for this Saturday so that other members of the commission can go and see it. And we would ask Robert that you would just rough stake the 4 corners of the area that you're looking at so that we would have a feel for that when we were in site.
Sure.
Jess, did you have any questions from Robert?
No.
Sure.
How are you handling the roof runoff?
We haven't proposed anything in particular. I presume it would be, at this point, downspouts to grade. We are pretty much right up against the pond, so I don't know that there'd be any real opportunity to put in a dry well. I'm assuming the groundwater elevation is going to be fairly high and right up with the pond elevation. So we could do drip strips along the foundation. We've done that in the past. That might kind of get away from the downspouts and do the drip strip. I don't know if the commission has seen those too often, but we do that quite often.
No, I think you guys have shown that for several projects that we've seen. So those are fine. They're a good option. The other option, lately folks have been doing the rain gardens. And if you're that far forward, you would probably have enough room, but it is a little limiting from a...
Yeah, it's a 15,000 square foot lot. We're fairly tight on area. I guess I would propose just doing the drip strips, if that sounds reasonable.
That would be perfectly acceptable. Excellent question, sir. Tachi.
So, Rob, I don't have the new version of the plan, but it says that all areas disturbed by construction shall be loam and seeded, so that would basically be all of the area where the existing house is going to be removed, is that?
Yeah, with the existing houses, loam and seed over, that once it's been removed and
So
graded.
essentially become lawn?
Yes.
Okay. And the 2 trees, the 2 mature trees that are coming out, the stumps will remain?
We want to leave the stumps. We don't want to disturb the bank.
Okay. What is, how far is the, well, I realize you don't have it fully designed yet, but this box for the proposed house, how far is that from the bank?
It's 27 feet at this corner.
Okay.
So if I may, to Takashi's point,
Yes.
so we would be looking for two special conditions. One that we discussed, so obviously there's no drawing of the house at this time. So we look for one of the special conditions to note that there would be drip strips. So please make a note of that for roof runoff. And the second special condition would be, per our discussion, that the stumps would remain from the two trees. And I agree with Takashi, that's a pretty important point because we're so close to the water. Anything else, sir?
That was it.
Bonnie?
I have a question. Is there any plan to put any sort of vegetative strip between the edge of the pond, between the, the water line and up to a certain distance away from the pond?
No, I mean, it's fairly open now.
Yeah.
There's some lawn, it's, I mean, if it's disturbed, to plant it with grass, I mean, there's no plan, I don't believe, to make new lawn right up to the top bank, other than, repairing areas that would disturb during construction, so. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Okay, I was just curious if, additional sort of plantings to sort of help with water drainage and erosion control and
You can,
that kind
One of the things you'll see it's easier to tell when you go to the site.
of, okay,
So it's a good question, but it's often easier to ask those questions when you're on the site.
when you see it.
Right, simply
Okay.
because in this particular case, what you'll see is that after it drops off from the road, it's really flat,
Uh-huh,
all the way to the pond. So,
okay.
great. Anything for you, sir?
No, I think, you did the sidewalk, if you didn't see anything, I'm not seeing anything there, I'm not hearing anything, raised any flags of erosion, runoff was brought up, so I'm good.
Perfect. So let's talk about a site walk. Do folks have time this Saturday morning?
Yeah.
Do you, sir?
Anyway.
Nice. Wonderful. So the three of you will meet Robert. Unfortunately, I cannot make it this Saturday morning.
Mr. Chairman, I'm actually going to be out of town. Trying to think. I could ask possibly someone else from my office to cover for me.
The only reason we just didn't want to hold anything up between now and the next meeting.
Right, I understand. I'll try and send someone from my office.
Okay. If not, the 4 stakes, it's not a complicated.
No, I will have that staked out for you, that's fine.
I'm assuming if you folks don't have any issue with that, I'm thinking 4 stakes and a walk on the property is going to answer anything they're looking for. So that's my feel. So
Okay.
if someone can make it, that's fantastic.
Do you have a time?
You folks looking for like 11, 11:30?
No.
Yeah.
9?
9?
9 o'clock?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that work for you? Okay. So 9 a.m. on 10/10. Have a site walk on the property, and then, if there's nothing else, I'd like to accept a motion to continue this public hearing to 10:22.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Robert. Okay. So we have just a couple minutes here. Can you pass me the file for the next hearing? I don't have it. Thank you. I ran out too fast.
Yeah, I'm actually recognizing the same thing. I spent all the time in the last 1 minute printing off your maps, and I didn't actually print off my own notes. So we've got time, if you don't mind bringing upstairs to print off that.
What do we need?
Oh, my notes.
His notes for
Oh.
his updates.
All
We have
those.
4 minutes.
I can do that.
There you go.
The elevator's quick.
Okay. So while we wait for our 7:30, the request for a partial certificate of compliance, which I just put right back in after I pulled it out. So Mount Laurel Road, that's the, what, Sandy Pond 3? one more item here from Ms. Nearing. Did y'all get this, or just me, or?
Just you.
Okay. Lori sent this on the 7th. Says, I deeply apologize for the late notice. Under time constraints, grant deadline of October 15th to apply to the local cultural council. I have copied the notice below. Nature programs are specifically included in this grant opportunity. Respectfully ask if the Ayer Conservation Commission would be willing to write a letter of support for me to be able to write a grant proposal to enable me to provide 4 guided nature hikes and/or nature programs on Ayer Conservation properties. Hikes would be open to the public free of charge. I envision providing 1 hike during each season on a Saturday or Sunday. Winter snowshoe, animal tracking, full moon evening hike, owl prowl, signs of spring, vernal pools, they're not real, and fall foliage walk. The Ayer Conservation Commission would not need to be involved in any of the preparation work or planning for this walk, although your input and attendance is most welcome if you choose to. It is not intended to require any additional work for your board other than to write a brief letter of support. My goal is to encourage the use, appreciation, and enjoyment of the beautiful conservation areas your board currently manages, including the ones you didn't even know that were there. Having a letter of support from your board would make my grant application much stronger. Unless you tell me otherwise, I will plan to attend the meeting on 10/8.
So she will be here.
Is that today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could I see that for a second?
Absolutely.
The first page.
Look at that. Get it back with a minute to spare.
Hey, like I said, that elevator's quick. I know nobody used it since I did.
We took a second, walked down through the rest of the agenda. I read through Lori's information, so we'll look forward to seeing her later tonight, so that's great. Okay. It is now 7:29-ish. We have a public meeting, request for determination of applicability for 10 Amandry Way. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Why don't you describe your project?
Proposed project is a approximately 10 feet wide by 18 foot long patio off the side of our house, adjacent to an existing fieldstone farm wall that we've restored, with a fire pit if permitted.
Excellent. That sounds pretty simple. So, Brian, did you have a chance to take a peek at this?
I did not.
Okay. So, I believe we've been to the house before you purchased, right?
You came 3 days after we bought it.
That was it. So we were just in time.
Yep.
Okay. So, the area, is it flat?
Yes.
Okay. And you said the deck is to be 20 by 15 or 10 by 15?
10 by 18.
10 by 18, excuse me.
Patio.
Okay.
Yep.
So under 200 square feet, and you're planning, I assume, to remove a amount of material prior to putting the patio stones down?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a place to spread that material, or are you going to remove it?
It's going to be removed.
Okay. And then just stone or block, or?
It's stone, yeah.
Okay.
Blue stone.
Sounds pretty simple. Probably the only thing to be concerned about is as you're removing the material, you'll need to haul it off. Do you have a place to store it in the front of the house, away from the area?
We're actually working with someone who builds patios professionally and
Great.
already said, just take it as you dig it out, right off.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as long as there was no stockpiling in the backyard, it wouldn't be an issue. You'd just be pulling it out and moving it up.
Yes.
Okay. Jess, do you have any questions?
No.
Mr. Bacon? Mr. Todd?
Just, do you, since I don't see it on the plan, do you know the approximate distances from where you're proposing to do the patio and what's shown here as wetland, and also the brook itself?
Well, the line that I was using is just when you see the shed there, it's at 100.69. So the brook is considerably a ways down from, this is The brook is pretty far back, and then there's an embankment. So there's literally, you can see a break in the land from where the edge of like what the property is. It's fill, because as we've cleared out the invasive species that are back there, we've discovered concrete rubble and things that can't be moved. So they clearly put it in there when they were building up like a lawn area. So it's a pretty sharp delineation.
We remember Mr. Carpenter.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out what some of the concrete is. Mostly we've decided that we'd put some plants in and just hide it.
Absolutely.
The slope seems pretty stable though, so we're like, all right, we're not going to mess with that. So it is quite a distance from the brook back there. I would guess it's more than 100 feet.
I think so.
Yeah.
Based upon these dimensions, I'd say it's more than 100 feet to the brook.
Mhm.
So off the brook toward the house,
Mhm.
the wetlands aren't flagged here, but can you describe where they are in relation to the shed? How far from the shed till I'm actually
In them?
wet, if you will?
So you would go from the shed, you'd walk out down the slope probably. You'd walk out probably 10 feet, 10,
More than that, 15.
15
probably.
feet, and then you'd go down a very sharp embankment, and then that's where the area that gets wet in the spring is, where
Okay.
the wetland area.
Okay. So I remember that, were you on the walk with this
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
So I do remember it dropping off, and I remember it being fairly flat out in the backyard where
Mhm.
you are now.
Yeah.
Thanks to all that concrete fill.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with the project.
Mhm.
I was just curious, since it's not really shown, it is likely that it's within the outer riparian zone, which is
Mhm.
up to 200 feet from the brook.
Right.
I just like to see that kind of stuff shown on the plan, but it's not, it's just more of a curiosity for my own
Mhm.
sake, to know how far it is. But,
I think probably one of the things that we would ask would be that you notify us when you start and when you finish,
Okay,
so that Brian can come by and take a peek while the fellow's doing the work.
great.
So, Bonnie, did you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Brian, anything for you?
No, other than that, for better or for worse, I kind of trust these guys because she used to be on the Groton Concom.
Well, as we all know, that's no indication of trustworthiness, but
But it does make me a little bit more, you know.
you should see the projects at my house. Okay.
I guess just one more question.
Sure.
So the erosion controls, you say that they'll be used, but they're not shown on the plan, will they?
What hay bales and silt fence? What would you like?
Well, to be honest, you can certainly do hay bales and silt fence.
Mhm.
It seems to be easier to do wattles, and in this case where it's flat.
It's relatively flat, yeah, that's fine. I have no issue.
Have you seen the wattles rolled out?
No.
Okay.
Oh, is that those the thing that look like hay in the?
That's
okay.
right. It looks like a tube
Tube.
sock of
Oh,
hay.
okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, great.
Right.
And
Or-
put the stakes in it to keep it from moving around.
Yeah.
The bobcat
In
from
a lot of
moving.
cases, you don't even need to stake it.
Okay.
If where it's going to sit is flat,
Mhm.
there's a couple good things about it. It conforms to the grade,
Yep.
and it comes in a big, huge roll,
Mhm.
which you roll out into the back, cut the plastic, and then pull out.
Okay.
So
Great.
it's not too terrible. The fellow who does this would be able to do that for you, and that's the other reason to let Brian know when you start, so he can come take a peek at it
Okay.
prior to the digging.
Great.
So, okay, thank you, I was thinking about that. Okay, if there's nothing else, I would accept a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability with the condition, well, actually, no, it's all listed in here that the material would be included. Actually, not in the work description. So, with the condition added that either hay bales and silt fence or straw wattle would be provided and inspected prior to the start of work.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Should we also add that excavated material will be removed off-site?
Excavated material removed off-site. Excellent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. Town of Ayer. That'll go through.
Right, town of Ayer for the check,
Yes, they used to go to Neiman.
Not anymore.
but not the con. Town of Ayer.
Do we,
If we're putting names on anything.
Where the
thank you very
disreputable
much.
thing came in.
what's the check amount?
5907.
Okay. So this is one of those fabulous parts. Do you have a sign-off sheet so that we can sign this and you can type it up after?
No. that was an amateurish move where I thought that it was included in the package.
Gotcha.
And I didn't actually look.
Okay. So we'll be signing this at our 10/22 meeting. When were you planning to do the work?
Probably not until after Halloween.
Okay.
That was the earliest that we could get us in pending approval from you guys, so.
Nope, that's wonderful. So if you run into any issue ahead of time, if we're still in the process of signing the paperwork or getting the paperwork through to you, just let Brian know that you're going to start work and you can inspect the straw wattle, and we can let the paperwork catch up right after.
I do have a blank.
And you just reminded me, I've got a whole stash of blanks in the bottom of this, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Can I steal your blue pen? So we're going to sign this now, and then Brian will type it up and put the other conditions to it, and then you can collect it from him.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I need to remember that stash of paperwork is in the bottom.
It's Becky's
I'm
stash.
sure it's significant.
Yes, actually. But
Okay.
anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay, but
It's been a long day.
no one ever does. Thank you.
All right.
No offense, man. All right.
Hey, I like the company. Don't drive them away.
All right, let's see. 7:45, GIS volunteer opportunity.
All right.
Is that
So we
person
are
coming
moving-
here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's drop that for a second now.
So we can,
Let's
yeah,
do
you
our-
can move pretty quick.
Let's do our partial certificate of compliance.
And I think you have that.
I sure do.
Good.
At least I have a photocopy of it.
I thought that was just a print off.
Well, maybe it is a print off. It's just got dots on it. I thought it was a copy. Okay.
Oh, he may have copied it.
He
on
probably
his
copied
own.
it because I saw the stapler mark.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an attorney for the Hendricks at 15A.
Mountain Laurel.
Okay.
The way we're doing this is the way that it was done previously. Another lot in that development was given a partial certificate so that it could be sold. And we're just doing it again. This is the way that Becky did it, and we're just running off of that example.
No, that's perfect.
I drove by earlier, and there's nothing out of line up there. I mean, actually, it looks better because no one's mowing the lawn in a while, and so great natural lawnscape in an otherwise, really sharp lines to everybody's lawn as you drive through the subdivision and get up there.
And then boom.
Yeah,
No.
clover and tall grass. I'm like, ooh, that doesn't look bad to me. The only thing I didn't do was walk around to the back. I did a drive-by from the road because, I knocked on the door, nobody's home. Seemed a little, not a thing to do.
Well, do yourself a favor next time. Walk around the back. It depends on the property. Is the property, so if this is where you drove in, is the property up here in the hill?
Property is at the top of the hill,
Okay.
backs up against the woods.
So-
I missed maybe like 50 square
Oh,
feet
no,
from
no,
the
no.
road, yeah.
The resource is down the bottom, so
Yeah.
in those cases, please walk around the back of that. Okay, so this is the actual request.
Is the, on subdivision projects that include conservation restrictions or other aspects that require approval from natural heritage, it often is good to walk around the back, because oftentimes those edge of the clearing, the tree line, those are often intended to remain and not be worked upon.
I gotcha.
So,
Because of where we are in the ACC.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the rare species habitat and all that. I don't know how much of that was sort of written into the conservation management permit, but
Right.
it'd be good to.
Part of the reason I also didn't walk around was that the garage door was open and there was a car in the garage and nobody answered the ringing bell. So, you got into, just strangers walking around the back of the yard and, if it had been a otherwise empty looking property, because they had requested this, I would have in all likelihood gone around. I feel like that is an implicit permission to inspect the property.
It is actual implicit permission to be on the property anyway, because as soon as there's a notice of intent that's open on the parcel, we have the right to inspect it at any time.
I believe it's explicit. It's written into, or should be written into our order conditions. So,
Yeah. So,
Anyway,
things to think about. So the good news is that the parcel you were on isn't one of the ones that down the bottom of the hill is the greater issue as far as the resource area. You're right, though. I don't know I wouldn't expect up at the top there. I think if you had seen a whole bunch of trees missing behind the house, you'd have known that you had an issue, so.
The boundaries behind the house looks pretty tight. They came up to the woods and it's a small backyard and they left it. So anyway.
So, we have here the request. Do you have a signature page for us to sign up?
Now
Maybe in the stash.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass those back together so that I don't walk off with them by accident.
let's see. We have dropping the ball on the signature pages to that corner of condition.
But see, this is how we learn.
This is how we learn. What do you want? You want COC.
Are those been updated?
What?
Oh, you mean they might be
All the,
All the forms have changed?
yeah, all the forms were updated as of January 1st of this year.
Well,
Probably not.
No, they
There's
didn't
a fun
change.
project for Monday.
A lot of them
yeah.
look very similar, but
How's this look to you?
if there were changes, they were minor, but just be good to try to make sure that we're using the latest and greatest.
Right.
From a content perspective, do you think we'll be missing out on anything?
I don't believe so, but
So I guess I wouldn't assume that we would be the only commission who would recycle forms that had been in there. And in this particular case, as a certificate of compliance, I'm not as concerned about it as I might be if it was a notice of intent.
But I'll put that on Mondays to check the format applicability.
Well, probably
righteousness.
actually just download.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
go right through.
Yeah, go right
whenever you
through all
have,
of the.
you know,
didn't-
a few minutes in between other things, just start downloading the latest forms and saving them and then replacing them.
So do you get notification that they've changed them?
For the it was kind of a wholesale change that occurred in January based on the revision of the regulations in
Gotcha.
October of last year. So, yeah, the commissions did get notified for this one, but in the past, no, they basically just would update them and
Not telling
you had
you.
to figure it out, yeah.
I think the notice of intent that we have in there, or the order of conditions, is an updated one.
And that's important because they definitely
Yeah.
revised those,
Yeah.
or the notices of intent.
Yeah.
So,
So here's what I'd recommend. So print out all new ones, put a note on your
Yeah,
folders
do
that
this whole new
says
thing.
brand new, October 13th.
Do you know, I believe DEP sent out packets of the revised regulations plus all the new forms to all the commissions, all the towns.
I think they sent out the packet on revisions, but I didn't see any. I didn't look at it's.
There's two
somewhere.
thick things. One of them
Yeah.
is the revision, the regulations. The other one is all the new forms. So you wouldn't necessarily have to print out the new forms. You could just copy.
But it's worth checking in
Yes.
any case to
Yeah.
make sure that A
That
matches
would maybe
B,
be
matches
in-
C.
There are a few binders that have.
I would
The
just check to see if we
DEP,
received
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So.
So I appreciate both of their input as far as not killing a bunch of trees, but print out the forms if you need to.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do.
Because this is nice, because when you forget to print things, you got a stash here.
There you go.
Very handy.
Mark on the folder when you printed them out, and then what I would recommend is that you put a note in your calendar the first day that you work of every month, go in and check and make sure that nothing has been updated. It's funny because one of our clients that we work for uses a system, a VMT system, that generates a notice every time they update stuff. And so anytime somebody puts anything in any of the files, you get a notice. So you get thousands of them during the year. So it has the exact opposite effect of notifying you. It has the effect of becoming burdensome background noise as opposed to being an effective notice to say, oh, something changed. It's very much in keeping with the way they do everything else. I would accept a motion to issue the partial certificate of compliance for the property, and of course I gave it to you before I checked again, 15A Mountain Laurel Way.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mm.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can I steal your pen again so I can do it in blue? Thank you. Thank you.
Who constitutes a final certificate of compliance?
So in this particular case, the final certificate of compliance would involve everything being done on the property that was covered in the notice of intent. So all the limit of work would have to be restored, thank you. Any conditions that were in there would have to be met. In this particular case, this particular property is an interesting one. They have a wildlife crossing under the roadway. It's probably 2 foot wide, maybe even 3 feet wide, a foot deep.
No, it's big.
It's bigger than
It was
that.
big in there?
Yeah.
You walk through it.
Yeah, we walked on it.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I thought we looked down into it. We didn't walk in it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name was making fun of it because it was so big, contractor.
Huh. I
Huh.
remember walking in it. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because you were talking, I remember one day we were out there, you were talking about the different footprints you and.
No, we saw a snake in there.
Yeah.
We saw a snake trap in it.
It's being used. That's cool. So it's like a culvert, a big
it's-
culvert?
It's, essentially a,
It's a huge box
A
culvert.
huge
Yeah.
box culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
except I didn't remember it being that huge. Anyway, thank you. So that would be one of the things that would have to happen in order to close out certificate, in order to issue a final true certificate of compliance. Is this fax paper?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. We were just talking about that earlier today.
The one thing I think also is confusing for Bonnie is back in the old days, the commission used to do an order of conditions for a whole subdivision.
Right.
And so each individual property, if somebody wanted to sell it, they have to get a partial certificate. Now what we do, because we're better, we do individual orders for each house.
Uh-huh.
And then the developer also has orders of conditions for like the road work and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
That they then
So-
own.
yeah.
So it's like combined but separate.
yeah, but that's driven by the applicant though. If they want to apply for the whole, if they just want to do one application,
For the whole,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, we don't control that.
Right.
Okay.
But the difference is that most of them seem to come in that way now.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's for their own benefit in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
It's more money for the consultant.
form. George Bacon, Conservation Chairman. I knew this wasn't my fault. So, speaking of Back to the Future, this facsimile that came to us from Smolak and Vaughn in North Andover, representing C&F Builders. And I don't know if C&F Builders was Ranger Development or C&F Builders sold the lots to Ranger Development.
I looked really hard through those files and I couldn't tell you either. I do know that CNF Builders is down the hall from the actual name that CNF stand for. One is Suite 5 and one is Suite 15.
Huh.
But anyway,
Interesting.
but I believe, are you
Jason.
awesome? This is our student friend. So if
I
you
can
want
introduce
to,
myself after you.
Are we always?
Well, I was going to say, give me 10
Over.
seconds. I'm just going to walk through this just real quick.
fair enough, because that's deep and dark and that's a rabbit hole by comparison.
So, it's interesting. It starts out with an easement. Talks about David Murray. He was the fellow we met on site, right?
Yeah.
Also mentions a Foster and a Cody, who I don't remember.
Well, I think that's the CNF
There you go.
builder.
There you go.
Foster and
Cody.
Cody.
Foster and
Down
Cody.
in
Yeah.
Suite
Cody
15.
and Foster.
Yeah.
Wow, Jess.
But they're
I
separate
know.
business entities according to the paperwork.
Okay, so here's the conservation restriction. We'll get to this after. All right. Good evening, Jason. Why don't you come on up?
So
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself first. So, I grew up in the town of Ayer, but I went to school at the University of Maine. Been kind of working in outdoor education for the last 5-6 years. Decided to go back to school for GIS analysis, and so I moved kind of back into the area, going to Salem State for my master's, potentially a PhD. We'll see.
Nice.
And so I just started off into the program. This is my first semester there. And so I figured I might as well offer my services as a way of building my personal portfolio, as well as offering, you know, the town I grew up in, as well as, you know, an area that I know really well that doesn't necessarily get a lot of necessarily attention paid to it. There's a lot of attention paid to coastal communities, especially dealing with global warming, you know, rising sea, you know, waters, as well as, you know, emergency plans for that kind of business. So I wanted to see if I could focus my area more on this area. I'm been talking with the Devon's Enterprise Commission, and so I'm hoping to do some land use change maps with them.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I've been working with them. They also have an open space maps that they want kind of done, but I'm going to be, so as I said, I've reached out to them, and I figured to see what areas the Air Conservation Commission had necessarily focuses on in recent times, whether that be wetland mitigation or dealing with, I'm not quite sure. So that's why I came to see you as an idea of maybe blending some of my skills as well as having a kind of a area in which I can do some presentations, build a resume. So kind of an area that both of us can work together. See where that takes us.
Well, that sounds like a great opportunity. Jason, what's your last name? I know Jess is dying to ask you.
Smith.
Smith.
It's really simple.
And that's also part of why I brought these down tonight, hopefully to get you guys thinking a little geospatially
Yeah,
before Jason came down.
Did you do these, Jason?
I did not. So I actually have some examples of some stuff I did on my computer over there, but pretty much I can offer kind of a wide range of options for you folks. MassGIS has a lot of basic data that you can draw from. These include vector files, census data. They have you know, wetland tracks. They have a lot of different data that I can bring up and show you the available options that you can pull from that. So that's working with what's mostly known as vector data. So this is like points, lines, and polygons.
Mhm.
Okay. I can also offer you imagery. And this is more dealing with what's known as remote sensing. So dealing with not just visible spectrum, but also getting like near-infrared imagery on the site. And this allows us to be able to see how vegetation has changed over time, because vegetation reflects well in the near-infrared spectrum. So you can monitor, you know, vegetation change over time. And there's a lot of other things that I'm looking to get into more so, but so I can deal with this kind of remote sensing area, which is one kind of way of monitoring land use change over time. And I can also offer a more vector-based, which is more like looking at regional planning and looking at town of Ayer planning, so you can see road systems and then make search queries on how, you know, roads in relation to wetlands, or so you can be able to see these different layers, you know, draw correlations between data sets and be able to kind of see how, you know, see how it's able to kind of, you know, our decisions affect our region.
Sure.
So it works really well for planning, finding areas of concern, and whatnot.
No, it sounds fantastic. I really like the idea of defining the vegetative barriers, especially around the wetlands, if for no other reason than, you know, we have a lot of ponds, but we also have an awful lot of wetland areas. And being able to do that kind of a search would allow us to at least baseline things. Because one of the things we found with our walks is that the areas that we're looking at change over time.
They do.
So that's pretty cool in itself. So
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out what your direction was, and if you had any projects that were in the works, or any focuses that you were focusing on, so that I can better direct mine.
well, let's start with, did you make these?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay.
These are clunky and ugly and just kind of whipped up.
I don't know, I kind of like the orange.
But this was just pulled from MassGIS. The one is just a really, relatively speaking, sloppy wetlands, protected areas of concern that I needed for my own sense to get a sense of town. Well, I thought you might enjoy it. The other one was sort of the next level up, where I buffered the wetlands and I buffered the waterways to find out which taxable parcels in town the conservation had some kind of jurisdiction over. So that's what the other map is. And again, that's just for my own sense of what's going on. I'm not saying the whole parcel is jurisdictional, but some portion of that parcel falls within the 100-foot or the 200-foot, depending on whether we're talking about wetlands or streams. And again, this is just something I did for myself that I thought would be handy to pretty up and put on the website. The public might enjoy that. But again, seemed like something you guys might enjoy. And,
No, this is great.
So I have a question for Jason.
Yes,
If there was something that we defined as a project, could you use that as, could it be credit for you, and could it be like an independent
It wouldn't necessarily
study?
be credit or independent study. It'd be more something that potentially I could use, like for example, I'm going to be doing that project that I'm doing in Devon's, dealing with land use change and remote sensing. I'm going to be using that project for my remote sensing class, but it doesn't necessarily always match up. It would be more of something that I can get recommendations for, that I can have a form to be able to present my findings, so that I can, do some presentations and get that onto a resume and pretty much just be able to build up. As I said, I'm really looking to build up that professional portfolio.
Okay.
So when I actually try and enter into the field, I'll be able to have, solid, this is what I've done, instead of just academic
Uh-huh.
work in this subject.
No, and it's good experience,
Okay, yeah.
so.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my own internships right now.
No, that's wonderful.
So,
It's not always easy.
no.
And I
Okay.
had one idea after our chat that I came up with that
Yeah.
if you guys like the sound of it, it might fit. It might be complex enough to
Sure.
get your juices flowing.
What
But
are you looking for?
if you could backtrack through, maybe every 5 years on every decade, every 3 year, whatever time frame, and identify development, and then identify the commonalities. So maybe was it zoned a certain way, or was it flat land? Was it at a certain incline? What made it attractive to the developer? And then from that, draw out predictors so that we as a conservation commission might say, oh, this is the most likely spot in town based on past development trends
Yeah.
that we can expect to see new development. And then, if projects or funds or anything come along that, if we wanted to say buy the land, we would know that this is the most likely land in town to be developed, or the second most likely, or that kind of.
Definitely. I could look into doing something like that.
But
That's a really large scoping. I can
There's
definitely
a lot that you can do with
definitely get the aerial data for that, being able to look, because especially if you think about in the last 20 years, you see Pingree Hill, for example, or the connection of Oak Ridge Drive as areas where we've seen a lot of development in those regions. But definitely, Ayer is a pretty small town, so we don't have too much land left to be able to.
I was actually thinking about that as Brian was saying it, because
We don't have because we have.
it is good to think that way forward, but Ayer is 9 square miles and 8 square miles developed. So,
That's what I mean. There's some areas off of Bishop Road, for example, that I could see with the water sources off of that potentially being over by where the DPW is. But yeah, maybe even behind where the gun club is. But besides for that, I can definitely put together that map. I could definitely put together at least a progression of change using aerial photography,
Yeah.
if that would be helpful.
Well, and,
'Cause I'm doing that
I'm gonna
already
leave this
for
to
Devon's.
these guys, as the deciding body here. But my simpler idea is simply: is there something in past trends that could be used to identify future ones
Yeah.
for the purposes of the board?
Yeah, I could
Can I
definitely.
call you guys a board?
by definition. I think where I probably want to start, so for instance, this is fantastic. It's a great start. I think there are wetland areas to fill in on this.
Oh, they're under it. And I didn't want to clutter it up, because that's on the other map.
On the green? Yep.
It would get too busy if I put it all together on the same piece of paper, and it's the, because I gave you both maps and one is all wetlands, the map with the parcels on it, the blue are all of the wetlands combined, and then they're overlaid with the parcels, and I didn't do any prettying, so you can't see through the layers above, and, it's all, first cut kind of stuff, and it's more to get you thinking than it is to, consider a final presentation.
Yes.
Well, I guess I'm embarrassed to tell you that I know what GIS is, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time picking out things like we're talking about here, other than to complain to have to pay for someone else to do it. Do you have thoughts on GIS, Jess?
No, I'll defer any comments till later. You know me with maps.
That's why I'm offering this
Yeah.
opportunity.
No, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
George, do you have any thoughts about things you might be looking for?
Well, I'm thinking more in terms of using it as a visual database, so as we go along, we're looking at lots on which we've had permits. It's one thing we may want to track. Maybe we can try and find all the outlets for catch basins.
So,
Wow.
what kind of software do you have?
I'm just using Q.
Okay. Do you have any other software in the? Okay. So it might. So the thing is that this kind of database that you're saying that you kind of want to establish. If you really wanted to do that, it would be important to purchase the software that goes along with managing that data, as well as having a way of which to pull that data and present that data, and work with that data.
We could probably oversimplify it though, because we could get the tax assessor data and just add to the attribute table, and just be busy work with some typing.
Yeah,
So
that'd be true. But it'd just be some of the software programs are not necessarily the cheapest to be able to access.
which is why I'm using Q.
Exactly. So, for example,
What kind of software programs?
so the software program that is used at the state level is going to be ESRI, is the company, and it's ArcMaps, also known as a suite called ArcGIS. And that's what's used on every state. Back in the 80s, they went off to all the states in the nation, offered it for free. And so it pretty much became what was used.
So it was a gateway software.
Exactly. They gave it to free. They gave it for free so
It's
that
like
they can.
Microsoft for geospatial.
Exactly. So
Try
it's,
it, you'll
it's,
like it.
it's a little bit rough around the edges in the sense that, like, if you want to do any really high-end work, you'd probably want to move into AirDAS or Dreesy if you're doing like imagery, which I can do at the school, and then give like maps and stuff like that, and I can take screenshots and whatnot and export that data. But pretty much ArcGIS is the standard for any planning office, any state organization. It all runs through ArcGIS at this point, for the most part.
Yeah, it's once you're locked in, they're not gonna change
Exactly.
the bureaucracy. Just
No,
really
of course.
good. Yeah.
So
So is there a cost to this? Do you guys
it
know?
is. It's about 3,500. So it is a fair investment, but
Well,
it is.
Yeah. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd use the word fair. So, I'm assuming there's no way to loan or borrow or anything. We're pretty much locked in. You'd have to
You might
purchase
be able
software.
to get some
for the
kind of a
record,
discount.
just the stuff that I would need this for in-house,
Yeah.
we don't need it.
Yeah, so that all exactly. So the stuff that I was kind of offering is a level away from what Brian.
Yeah, I don't have the time to go down those rabbit holes. I could, but it's not built in.
It's more of like a.
This
town
was
planning.
done in an afternoon, the two things you got, and I'm not going to go much past this level of things. I might spend some time making it presentable to the public and useful, in a sense. Like the comment you made earlier about I can't see what I'm looking for.
Right.
I'd fix that, but going down any kind of real analysis paths and playing with like raster math or something, I'm not going to do. It's
Yeah.
just
I don't know that we're not necessarily there. So there are two places that would be really helpful. Let's say that someone came walking in and they wanted to know if there were wetlands behind their property and they weren't certain. If you had a map that had, so obviously we work off the USGS map to get started, but the USGS map is not as simple for some folks to read as a colored map like this one might be. That's the first question. So if I was able, as George talked about, to be able to say, where did we already issue permits, what are the properties we've already issued permits on, et cetera, that's huge for, number one, telling somebody, well, I know you just bought this house, but the person before you had a notice of intent to put the deck on. So if you were looking to do a porch, you're going to need to get a notice of intent. So that would be a good indicator. The second thing that would be really helpful for is the building inspector. So if the building inspector had a similar map, he could simply look at the map and say, you're in one of the orange houses, so therefore you need to go to the Conservation Commission before I'm going to issue a building permit. So those are both ways that it would allow us to help folks who came in, and it would allow us to help folks who necessarily didn't know they had to come in.
Yes.
So,
But that, in a sense, is busy work that would be a waste of this opportunity.
okay.
It would. It'd be more of a database.
Right.
It'd be more of a
There'd be a lot
database
of
that you're
pulling
looking
from the
for.
files, finding the address, typing it in, pulling the next file, getting the address, typing it in. And what he's offering
It's
is
more analysis.
yeah, like playing with the root data that generates these kind of images rather than with the information associated with, say, that parcel. What he might do instead would be like to combine that parcel information with another layer of information that's kept in a different format, and then sort of it's like x plus y equals z, and you know he'd be creating z.
Compare and contrast those layers, run analysis between different layers. So, you know, as he said, he ran a buffer around the wetlands to see what housing units were around it. So being able to create that buffer and figure out what housing units were so X many feet away from that wetland, and being able to have that's a very basic, you know, a buffer is a very basic form of analysis that you can run.
Yeah.
And so that way you can get a quick look at what, you know, what areas you might need to focus on. Whereas that kind of, you know, kind of streamlining that you're looking for.
Well, it seems like what you're actually doing
It's
is
good for-
you're solving the problem. What I figured you'd have to do was to get information from us. What you're saying is you don't need the information from us. You can do the exact same work.
He needs a goal. He wants direction. He wants to know what we want. You know, rather than us talking about the technicalities of this. You know, it's really what would you like to know that would help you do your job better,
Yes.
and we can theoretically he can do that as you know his need is to give you what you want, and you know we can work out all the tech stuff some other time. But what do you want to know about the town visually?
And you can take a week to think about, I mean,
Yeah.
not necessarily putting anyone on a spot right now. You can take a while, think about this, and get back to me. I'm not on any kind of rush. I'm going to be at least in the master's program for the next year and a half. As I said, I'm working with the Devon's people. I'm working with the guy in Hawaii. So it's okay to take your time, think about what you need, and get back to me. It's
And
more of a
would you
service.
be available for data collection? Would you want to do field work? Would you like to do that sort of thing? Or do you want to
If
work
we're
with-
getting into field work, then I don't know if I'll necessarily have time for the field work.
That's fair. So
Because
stick to what we already know. We're not going to be on
there's tons of data
yeah
right now. MassGIS has data on.
reams.
I can pull it up on the website right now and show you all the different data layers they have that are available. And, you know, census data, they have, you know, tax data, they got any kind of data that, you know, not any kind, but there's a lot of data layers that are available. So pretty much think about where you folks would like to, you know, maybe you've had something you've been thinking about for a couple years, like that you think might make it, you know, not, you know, might be just a question you have. Maybe I can help you answer that question.
That sounds fantastic.
So.
One possibility, and first of all, Jason, I commend you for kind of being proactive and reaching out and seeking out these opportunities, and I appreciate that you're focusing on kind of the town that you're from. That's nice to see. One possible opportunity, and I don't know specifically what their goals might be, but it relates kind of to what we do with Conservation Commission, but also relates to sort of broader town planning goals. The Open Space and Recreation Plan Update Committee has been in the process of updating the Town of Ayer Open Space and Recreation Plan. I believe they went through the Conway School and had a student or a group of students work on that plan, but they had 1 semester to do it, so
The Conway School?
yeah,
What school is it?
landscape design.
Okay.
Yeah, so that person or group did what they could in you know, a few months' time, but I believe that there is a lot more that could be done with the compilation of data that the data that they compiled, specific to open space and recreation in town, but I think that relates a lot to what has been talked about in terms of
So who would I need to
planning for development.
get
Yeah.
into contact with to be able
So
to?
I don't know how often. Well, is it still meeting?
Yeah, we haven't met for 6 weeks or so, I think.
Yeah.
Since before you went on vacation.
Yeah. I would maybe start with the chairman of that committee, but also I would kind of keep maybe, we don't have a town planner, which in my opinion is one of the
Yeah.
deficiencies in our town
That
government
kind
currently,
of
is we
makes
don't
things
know.
hard.
Yeah, so I would say communicating with the Open Space and Rec Committee, but doing it kind of with or through our town administrator.
Okay,
would be
so
good,
I can
because he
give-
might be able to then
I can give
steer some of that.
I can give an email address,
Yeah.
and you guys can pass it on to whoever needs
Yeah.
to be able to.
Well, actually, probably the best way to do it, go on the website, go to the TA, it's got the town administrator, you can just click right on the link and go to TA at Ayer. Let him know that you met with us, mention Brian's name and of course the commission, and say that during our conversation that we talked about the open space and recreation plan, and ask him if he can assist you in making the contact. And that way you've not only gone through the town administrator, but also you've introduced yourself to another whole level of folks who might be interested in things that you can provide, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would enable you to use your skills to not only make the open space and recreation plan a much fuller, more complete and useful document, but it will also, I think, tie into town planning and
Yeah.
maybe,
Thanks for that suggestion.
yeah, help you sort of work on things that really have some concrete benefits for the planning objectives of the town, in the absence of a town plan. I
Right.
think,
To Takashi's point, it would probably be a better use of what we're talking about than, potentially just creating a wetland map.
yeah.
Yes, Mike?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a master's in the kind of stuff that Jason's talking about myself. One thing that I've noted in my observations of the meetings is that there are questions about runoff. There are questions, people like Mr. Mulaney come in and talk about impervious surfaces. Do you have a current map of the impervious surfaces within the town of Ayer? This is something where...
That data is right online. You can pull that.
Yeah, well, it's, the question I'd have then is how accurate is it?
Yeah,
Do
we'd have
a
to- we'd have-
system-aligned sample of that,
Yeah.
do some ground truth of it, and use some of your, especially with the new developments around Pingree Hill and things like that. Yeah, the maps are there, but what's the real impervious structures? And,
Good question.
depending upon
They
the
probably
resolution
haven't
of the...
updated it since Pingree's been online.
Yeah, Pingree's been in progress for quite a while.
About 10 years.
Yeah, so, and they're doing a hell of a lot of work up there now and ripping out lots of natural, so it would, and even that over time, change detection over time, we know that the town's got a lot of development. We've got the solar panels in, that's not quote impervious surface, but, it would be, I'd be interested in
Yeah.
taking a look at that. It might be too simplistic for what you're doing.
No, you could make a map like that in
Mhm.
2 seconds.
Well, that's a good line of questioning. The data is available, but it might be a little out of date. But then if you took that data and combined it with something else, you could get really some intriguing work out of it.
And I find that to fit into Takashi's, the plan,
Mhm.
the open space plan, everything else is, keeping monitoring of, what is going under parking lots, what's going under roads, what's going under driveways, patios,
Yeah.
So I think the good
Thank you.
a good plan. I think a good plan moving forward is going to be I'll contact the open space community.
Through the town manager, through the town administrator.
Administrator, yes. And then I will also see about working on just compiling, because it shouldn't take too long to compile that data, plus maybe some imagery for new growth and development, and see if I can create. Do you have any opinions on what kind of how you want to export it? Do you want like JPEGs, or do you want like?
I think
If I was just because
Yeah,
pretty
if
much
you
I'm
want-
going to be working on my own, and I'll just send you stuff.
I think PDFs will travel better
Yeah.
because then
course.
it'll be easier to like just email it around to whoever wants to see it,
Sure.
and nobody will start from a file point. You can make a pretty with a north arrow and a legend and the
Of course.
JPEGs. I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually I finish in like Illustrator usually
Mm.
because it's just nicer. But
I never got to that level. Anyway,
it's nice.
So one of the thoughts might be, so we meet again on the 22nd. So first off, do you know a lot about GIS? Is what you did at the,
Master's degree.
Right, yeah.
I don't use it every day, but,
so I'm gonna guess that Bonnie and myself and Jess are probably least proficient in GIS. You use it at work?
Simple, I mean, just looking at aerial photographs and finding structures in it.
So it sounds like three of us will do some reading up on it and get a feel for what are possible things to add. And 2 people or 3 people with Brian will tell us how wrong we are. But at least we can put together
I
a
will
quick
not tell you
list.
how wrong you are. I will encourage you to grow further.
We will put together a list of things that might work for us. I certainly like the idea of putting together both the wetlands with the impervious surface, the outlets, all those kind of things. Those are the kind of things that will allow us to make good decisions without having to leave the office. They're the kind of things that allow us to help people to focus on what's important on their parcel or what they're going to do.
Use this thing.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And it's also hugely helpful, again, for the building inspector and for planning and zoning, because oftentimes, without that kind of definition, decisions are made in a vacuum. So
Yes.
exposing other groups to having the ability to open up a map or pop it up on the screen and say, "Is that you in the blue?" No, I'm right next to it. Oh, okay. So you've gone to conservation. So that's really what we're looking for is if nothing else, it's to open up people to understand what the potential issues are.
Sounds good.
I don't want to keep too long. One quick question actually for Jess. What is the status of the open space and recreation plan? itself?
We still have to start going through editing the draft from the Conway School. I know people have gone through and edited it. We haven't met as a group since I think early August.
Do you think that there would be an opportunity if Jason were to kind of work with some of the data and maybe work with some of the maps and maybe get them to a level
What form?
where they become part of the final document? I mean, that would be the kind of thing that
Yeah.
maybe he could then have
Yeah.
his name in the credits
Yeah.
for. And
Yeah.
from a resume building standpoint,
Yeah.
that would
Yeah,
Yeah.
be
that's
really,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would look good
I know.
on
Thank you.
I know the chair of the committee.
who also
Yeah.
has a master's degree in JS, so she
Right.
should be able to really identify some good.
That is also his wife.
ethics. We went to Clark. We met at Clark University. So.
But I think
Yeah.
she was having some issues with getting the GIS material from Conway
She just
School.
got a package in the mail
Okay.
yesterday that I believe she
Yeah.
thought was the GIS data
Yeah.
Is
for
it-
that. So I believe there might be an
So-
opportunity.
She's spilling all the information here at the table, huh? This is great.
I don't know enough about it to sort of
Yeah.
guarantee that
You know
got
what?
a
I'm
nice
pretty
project.
lenient, so I'll go at whatever pace you guys
Yeah.
go at. So
But that might be a really good opportunity.
yeah, definitely it would be.
And I think, Dr. Sheetsy, your idea, the impervious surfaces idea, lines up rather nicely.
Yeah, it does.
Because to bring out what the open space planning is and what the goals are and line that up with, the threat assessment essentially of impervious surfaces. That all, this is a nice package, I think, that you guys are working towards.
the thing is, it would just be to get in the right format that
Right.
you guys can access it, because depending on what kind of,
Don't worry. Well, yeah.
that's down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, for what you guys are thinking about, it's
There's a lot of work between the one and the other.
exactly.
Well, and also, what I envision is fairly simple, because all I'm trying to do is make it as simple as possible for people to be able to tell things. And I'm sure there are an awful lot of other impacts that we can measure and put on that kind of a plan. And they're not exclusive compared to they're not mutually exclusive with the open space plan. So there'd be a lot of things that, again, just like you're talking about, you'd have 10 layers on theirs, and 5 of those layers would be ours, and so something like that. So something that would allow you to integrate two at the same time. That's always easier. So
Well, thank you very much for seeing me tonight.
thank you very much. We'll see you on the 22nd, or we'll pass on some information on the 22nd.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
for coming in.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thanks, Jason.
So just before we move on and out of JS, these, to the question of what the public might want, we have lots of information that can be presented and put up on the town website. To the idea of, is this parcel jurisdictional for the Concom? If I put a little bit more work into it, maybe probably half a day, most of a day, I could figure out and highlight the actual jurisdictions on the parcels without having the wetlands on there to confuse it. If I bring the wetlands up, I can put the buffer over it, but then it gets messy visually. It's too
Sure.
much. But if you guys have any ideas that you think would be really nice to put out visually to the public, I'm all ears. I enjoy doing this.
We're effectively talking about PDFs.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like if they can be generated, and they can be generated with multiple levels, then all you're doing is popping a couple of PDFs up on the website.
That's gonna be the end result. Yeah.
So obviously that's simplistic, and it's not a living document that way. However, if the basic data that's behind it can be revisited.
Well, the basic data is from the state, and they update periodically. So
as long as we're following along with that, we'd have as good as it could be.
yeah, and there's not gonna be too much that's gonna shift. Like when they move the lines on a parcel in town, you can be forgiven for maybe like not updating the whole process for that one. And the rivers generally don't move too often, and when they do, a lot of things get updated anyway. So it's
People notice.
Yeah.
Well, in our case, the biggest issue would be, wetland boundaries, and we're only going to be approximate anyway at this level. So, but approximate is better than not approximate.
Right, and I have all the information. This orange map was done with all that information. It's just a matter of presentation, and I didn't get, how should we say, I didn't get too artistic with this presentation I gave you two, or these two maps I gave you five. This was really just a sort of, I did it for myself, and I don't know what you do or don't know in terms of the natural resources in town and the bounds and the boundaries and where your own jurisdiction is or isn't. So,
Well, interestingly enough, most of, I'd say that by this point we have a pretty good feel based upon the number of projects that have happened in town. But the reality is that we've never done this kind of analysis. So one of the things that we're going to talk about later is something that I think you're going to be excited to research. So we'll get to that after. All right. So thank you for having Jason come in and meet with us. That was great. Conservation restriction on Sandy Pond 3. So I'm assuming that the discussion is going to center around how come it isn't done.
this was something that you guys brought up at the last meeting. Like,
Right.
hey, whatever happened to that? And the simple answer is it never happened. Those are draft agreements.
So who would be the signatories? I think we've done these through Board of Selectmen in the past, right? Didn't BOS sign?
We signed. I don't know if the US signs or not.
Yeah, typically it would be Conservation Commission, then Board of Selectmen, then it would go to the state executive office of environmental affairs for signature. Then once it's signed by everybody, then it gets recorded with the original signatures, and that's when it becomes effective.
Well, let's see.
And here's the rest of the relevant paperwork in the file, if you'd like to flip through that.
So here you are. So it is CNF Builders, it's Conservation Commission. Selectmen. And then on this one, to your point, Takashi, is the approval by the Secretary. Undersigned Secretary of the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby certifies the foregoing conservation restriction of the town of Ayer, noting by through it.
Whose name is this? I'm just curious. Just
Ellen Roy Hirschfelder.
about like 12 secretaries ago.
Okay.
I think that's 07.
Maybe not 12. but-
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm doing math here. I'm like, wow.
That was like Romney.
Well, it does.
04, was that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
07.
Really?
Yeah, he came in 3, January 1st, 03.
So Weld was 90s,
Yeah.
and then Salucci, and then Swift took over after him, 2002, 2000, yeah, so, yeah. Speaking of rotary telephones. All right. Okay, so at this point, probably the best thing for us to do, can I keep one of these?
I don't see why not. As far as I know, they're exact duplicates of each other. I never saw anything in either of those packages that appeared to be different. So that would be my one hesitancy, is that somehow the two of them are different, but,
I can't remember now.
you know.
Brian, did you see a copy of the conservation and management permit? Or of a conservation and management permit that would have been issued by the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife?
No, the only things in that
FOA.
file were the bound plans and the standard issue, like Form 2 through 8 kind of paperwork. There are a couple of letters between parties, just as cover sheets, but no, I don't think so. That doesn't ring any bells.
If there is, this project was a little bit before my time in the early stages. If there is a conservation management permit, they would have needed that before they could have started building out the subdivision. And that would be something that, is on the books, gets recorded. The CR is typically one of the requirements of the conservation management permits. The CR doesn't necessarily happen right away. It usually happens towards the end of, or not necessarily end, but, somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it never happened. But I don't know if there was, in fact, a conservation management permit or just
Well,
a letter stating that they had to do certain things in order to get approval. So
and as we'll get to in a little bit when I do some storytelling, I don't really know that didn't actually go through, and we just don't have the paperwork. It seems.
You mean the CR?
I mean,
I don't think we ever signed.
We didn't sign it, so it didn't go through.
well, when we get to the story, you'll maybe understand my distrust of the files.
Well, so interestingly,
I think that one we never did sign.
August
That's-
2004 says project site is located within the Pettapawag area of critical environmental concern, as well as within estimated and priority habitats for 2 species. Proponent has come to an agreement on terms for a conservation and management permit with natural heritage to allow the project to proceed, subject terms of the permit while providing a net benefit to those animals. Consequently, we're filing a notice of project change to inform the secretary and commenters of changes to the project and request that the secretary consider rescinding the scope now that the rare species issues are resolved.
I'm assuming they moved something.
Like an eagle?
No, I think they're trying to move the building or move the
I'm
line.
just kidding.
Yeah, I just don't remember.
But this is,
Well,
yeah,
what time frame is that? Because I did
Oh,
delist
four.
some species in 2006. Like
Oh,
spotted
yeah.
turtle.
Oh,
they
yeah.
took that
Project
off.
change involves modification of the subdivision to minimize potential impacts to certain species of turtles and enable Fish and Wildlife to issue a conservation and management permit to protect those species.
there you go. So it was the turtle, and then
Mhm.
2 years later they delisted it.
Mhm.
The Blandings turtles
Still
still,
on the
they're
fish
still
area,
listed, yeah. We do have those occasionally.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
yeah. Might be worth, so, Brian, is this the full file that you're able to? Might be worth requesting either a copy of the final or approved conservation management permit from Natural Heritage, or a letter stating that it was rescinded, or that, whatever, just requesting an update from them as to what the status of that.
Do you know who would be the contact person to chat to about that? If I just pick up the phone on Monday and
Yeah, I would start with somebody like,
maybe like,
Emily Holt or Amanda Bino. Their name should be on their directory. I think one of those two should be able to.
Amanda what?
I'm not sure how she pronounces her last name. It's VEN, maybe 2 N's, OIT, maybe 2 T's, maybe E, something like that.
So Amanda,
Amanda, Emily Holt, or Emily or Amanda, I would say.
At Natural Heritage?
Yeah.
Is that where Misty,
It's the end, yeah. I think, and she's definitely still there. I don't know if she's
Yeah.
involved in this one. And if you can glean the NHESP tracking number, that would help too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just.
It should be, since it's mentioned in there, there's probably a file number that you can reference.
Yeah, and I suspect too that if I just, tell them what I'm up to, what I'm trying to accomplish, they'll know all the points I need to be touching on anyway.
Yep. So that's probably worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree.
certificate of the Secretary of Environmental Affairs on the environmental notification form. Is it at all possible that this EOEA 13139 is the number you're looking for?
No.
Well, all right, so my plan actually tomorrow is to put this on top of my desk so I can't forget, and to call Smolak and Vaughn in the morning and ask them if they still represent CNF builders. Seems like a good place to start.
Yeah, get the lawyering all arranged.
Well, if they have an attorney, seems like the right place to start, although maybe the best thing to do is to try and reach CNF builders on their own and go from there.
Well, didn't the gentleman who came in last time say that Ranger had sold out to another builder,
Well,
so.
so interestingly, I know that can't have happened.
What?
Well, they would have had to notify us as they passed on the order of conditions to the new owner of the property.
oh yeah, yeah, of course.
I didn't get that. So actually, as far as we would be concerned, they are still responsible for the entire project due to their lack of notification.
True, if they don't own it, then can they issue a preservation restriction?
I guess that's
That's one of the finer points of law, it sounds like.
one of the interesting things we'll have to find out.
And also, I remember we had a meeting with their lawyer. I think there were some points of clarification needed, because I don't remember what they were.
Well, it was 11 years ago, I don't remember it either.
This does say that Blang's turtle is one of the species. So it would have been rescinded because of delisting of Blank.
All right. So this will be fun, because we'll get to learn about it together. So I will reach out to CNF Builders, talk to them about the conservation restriction, figure out where we are with that, and then probably pass on a bunch of information to you so that you can start doing the digging with the different state agencies to find out what permits have been granted, et cetera. And then at that point, I assume, we'll go to the new owner or the original owner, whoever still actually owns it. And at that point, figure out who's going to finish up.
And
And at that point, you will learn that the new owner had no idea that there was a potential conservation restriction.
that's what I'm expecting.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't wait for your phone call to get in touch with the state and get that ball rolling.
No, that would be just great.
Okay.
That would be just great. Okay. I'm going to pass that back so it doesn't get lost. Good evening, Ms. Naring.
Good evening.
All right, so that was our 8:10 discussion. Lori, why don't you come on up and tell us about your grant proposal?
Oh, thank you. I haven't met all of you. I'm Lori Nearing. I've been active with a group called PACE, People That Are Concerned About the Environment, for 18 years now. So, and I also do environmental education programs part-time with Mass Audubon and the National River Watershed Association and so on. And I have written grants for the Cultural Council before, but I don't believe I ever did it for Ayer, but I've done it for neighboring towns in Fitchburg and so on. They're small grants to allow me to do educational programs and guided nature hikes and get paid for it. It pays not a lot of money. These grants tend to be around $300 or $400 at most. And so I thought it would be really great if I might be able to offer a similar sort of grant for our conservation lands. And it came to my attention from a friend that you might be interested in, something that you would ideally like to do but don't have time to do. And so I thought it could be kind of a win-win. I deeply apologize for the tardiness of this request. The grant deadline is the 15th of October, and it really snuck up on me, and I should have approached this with you before. But what I was hoping I could ask you for, if you'd be willing, is simply a letter of recommendation saying that you support this application, and it may help you do the kinds of things you don't have time to do. It could be done electronically. Just a paragraph is really all I need. And it would probably make a pretty big difference in being awarded the grant. I'm looking at doing, unless you have other feedback, but pretty much focusing on the, I call it the Smith property, but it's the big tract of land that's around Flanagan's Pond. And I was envisioning 4 different hikes, one roughly for each season. I would post it in the newspaper and online. If the local community education group would allow me to post it in their flyer, I would do that as well. And it would be free to the public, but I would get paid a little bit to be able to offer it. So
it sounds like a wonderful idea. So basically you're looking for a letter from us, which I would be excited to pen for you.
Thank you.
Details basically in support of your application and how it would, again, it would open up the conservation properties to expose them to people who might then want to go and do hikes on their own after.
Yes, that's
So,
the idea.
That's fantastic. Anybody have any other questions for Lori?
Nope.
I just don't want to tie you up because I want you to go back and write your grant.
It's not a big grant, it's not a big process, so it's pretty straightforward, so.
I'm definitely all for it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Did you,
Great. Thank you.
for
I'll be
the,
on your first site.
That's great, that's wonderful.
for your Signs of Spring vernal pools, last year, Lee Curtis, former member, and I coordinated a couple of vernal pool certification. Well, it was one outing where we attempted to certify 3 pools. One of them wasn't, didn't have, the qualities, but 2 of them did, but for some reason, one of them wasn't accepted by the state. So we now have one of those 2 pools is now a certified
Okay.
vernal pool. The other one is still uncertified.
I would love to know which ones.
Well, it might be nice to
Yeah.
maybe build that into your spring
Absolutely.
outing. It was just a thought.
No, that's a great idea. In fact, interestingly enough, I don't know if you saw, but noted in the paperwork for Sandy Pond 3 was that between lots 2 and 3 is a potential vernal pool.
I didn't know.
I didn't know it either until I just read it in the file.
Is it on the map?
On this map,
Where is the
Yeah,
Sandy
so-
Pond 3?
So I guess, for
Yeah,
that.
we have a map.
across from the Baptist church, the parcel up the hill.
The stars, the red stars are certified pools, and the gray stars are potentials.
So there's no
Wow.
star in that area. That would be, right, that would be right in this area right here. There's no star. Because there's Long Pond. There's the wetland that passes down through.
Isn't,
It'll be this area right here.
Wait, what about that star?
where is,
Which star are you looking at?
Here, Bobby, you can just hang out with me.
Oh, that's,
Yeah, I'm just kinda like.
well, that's not the right color star, dear. It's supposed to be red. Oh, potential vernal pool. Oh, I see the gold one. That seems really high though, right?
That one?
That seems up in behind,
That is too
That-
high.
where's that CR?
Yeah, there's the line, the
Orion.
town line.
Yeah,
Right? Doesn't that seem like it's up in that area as you
Yeah.
pass into Groton?
so that's the road, right?
Yeah, the dash line there.
Wow.
could be,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm thinking in this
yeah,
area,
yeah.
right? Because that's Cowley's up beside here, or in here even,
There you go.
Well, in any
somewhere in
case,
this area.
I'd love to
since we
get a
don't
copy of that.
officially,
I only
see
just
our-
made
yeah,
it
it's
like
kind of-
today.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, there's no red or gold star.
Anyway, but it would be a neat opportunity to build that into.
Is there a high school program still where they're hiking or
I'm
doing?
not sure.
I don't think they're allowed to
I-
exercise anymore. I don't know if that's, that's part of it.
That's on your own time.
They're not allowed to breathe outside, is that?
I think,
Meet the criteria.
when you and I met with that group, that was 2009 or something. And
Yeah,
don't know.
she's at the middle school now.
okay. Yeah, so I haven't had any
Um,
association with them since then, so.
So-
I can
so
tell
I'm
you,
just-
you would probably get some interest at Parker.
the transportation is always an issue, so
Sure.
that's tricky, and I'd rather work with Ayer, quite honestly. I'm just wondering if I could reach out to any of the new science teachers over there, or somebody who's interested in environmental issues, if I could do a vernal pool project with them. I don't know if I can pull it together by next week, but I can try. If you'd be willing to write sort of a generic letter that it would be either hikes and or a vernal pool, I might write 2 separate grants and see if they would fund them both, because doing a project with the high school would be really cool.
Yeah.
They can walk down the hill.
If you
Yeah.
did
They
end
don't
up
have to
doing
ride.
that, I'm
They
pretty
can get
sure
on a
these
bus.
guys would be okay with sending me out to help,
Oh, that would be fantastic.
right?
We would be thrilled.
There you go.
That would be fantastic.
Okay. Lori, thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you.
Look forward to sending the letter, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So Brian, I saw included in here the money.
Yeah, that just came through, and I don't know that you need to see it. I just thought you'd be, potentially interested.
No, I always appreciate seeing it. I'm trying to figure out what's what.
I don't know why I got that. If it's just like a quarterly thing that shows
Yeah.
up on my desk, it was just dropped off.
It's just lucky.
Okay, so Takashi, the vernal pool, you guys certified? Is that on here?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Do you know which one it is?
Yeah.
Cool. That one.
This one.
Is it the Smith, or that red one?
Yeah.
And the one that didn't make the cut, is it one of the other
Yeah,
sides?
it's this one here.
Cool.
That's one of these two.
Yeah,
There's really only one.
so that one is, that star is, what's that?
That,
No, it's a
Oh,
change
potential
to
vernal
Yeah,
fruit
I
and
think
getting bloody noses.
this-
So I use this rather than gush.
Do you think the two of them,
I think the one that we looked at that had
adjustment.
the salamander. I
Good
guess.
for George, too.
looks like they're like
Showing that
adjacent,
shirt.
Yeah, they're
really
close.
close
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we get into Brian's updates?
All right. Let's see, we did that. For 37 Groton Harvard, she was in on Monday, and we just wanted to bring up the site plan. Do you guys have any standards you'd like to adhere to in terms of how hand-drawn the site plan may or may not end up being?
Is that in our wetlands kit?
I was gonna say, I think,
This is the one we went to see.
no, of course, but I think it defines what the criteria are in the kit.
Yeah.
Right.
The scale, et cetera.
Some of that might also be in the DEP notice of intent instructions.
Sure.
Because she had mentioned one or two things about what you guys said at the site walk
Mhm.
that was required, and I just wanted to get some clarification on partly because too, I don't know, I've never submitted a hand-drawn, the lower level of professionalism and expertise going into one of these. Where's our bound and our cutoff going to be?
Well, so in this particular case, the only reason that she's able to do her own, the way that she's doing, is because the bank is the resource. So she doesn't have to flag it. While we were on site, we also discussed the fact that there are several trees on the bank. And as long as everything she did, the limit of her work was on this side of the trees, that we didn't have to know the exact location of the bank. For instance, when we were there, it was clear that the nominal high water was probably 4 feet higher up on the bank than it was when we were there. So rather than put her in a position where she had to make any kind of decision like that, we were able to say, well, these trees are on the edge of the shore, and everything to this side of the tree is absolutely not in the resource. So therefore, draw your line there, and everything will be outside the resource.
Okay.
So that's the only reason that she can do this on her own. After that, as far as the scale, the other information that's necessary, that's fairly crucial in order to put together the plan set.
And apparently it's spec'd out somewhere in the fine print.
It should be, yeah.
Okay.
The only question I have is, in our boilerplate order of conditions, do we require an as-built?
We do require an as-built.
Stamped by an engineer,
Right.
and a statement from an engineer.
So maybe we'd have to drop that part.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
unless we were
Yeah.
willing to waive that
Right.
requirement on the tail end.
She'd end up with a survey one way or the other.
Yeah, right. And I missed the sidewalk, so I don't have the benefit.
Well, the long and the short of it is that the parcel where the work is gonna happen is flat down to the water. The area that she's looking to do the work in involves an astounding amount of black plastic that's buried a couple inches under the soil. And so really it's a case of scraping, pulling the black plastic out and pushing the soil back. It's an extensive project, which is the main reason that we felt that it needed to be an NOI, and it does. As far as the as-built goes, so what she's effectively doing is she's not making any substantive changes to the areas that are presently vegetated. So what she'd really be doing, the only thing that an as-built would show is the difference between now and then, and effectively the only difference would be the black plastic is gone. So I don't know that an as-built would perform the normal function that it would perform if someone developed a property and put a house on it, et cetera. So there won't be any change in impervious surface, and there won't be any change in pervious surface, so I know, I'm just trying to work through it in my head,
Well-
because you're right, if the as-built plan is a requirement,
Well, the other benefit of having an as-built at the end is that if she then sells the property to a new owner, and they decide they wanna make wholesale changes, that you know what the baseline is from that point.
sure. I guess I'd be open to other thoughts on that. Jess, do you have any thoughts?
I never have thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the removal of the black plastic actually really improves the perviousness of the surface, but if she were, if she were selling this, under what conditions would a potential new owner require an as-built?
Well, I think,
Or a
so to
plan? I'm
Takishi's
not sure.
point, the as-bilt's really for us.
Right.
Right, so we know what's there
Right.
now or at the
In
end
the
of
future.
this Alconius's project. And then we can have that as a basis for then reviewing a future project or potentially having to take enforcement action on something that occurred that now has resulted in a much different,
Yeah.
action than what was there previously.
No, you're definitely onto something, so here's what's interesting. The impervious surface on the property is the roof, and maybe 10 feet of concrete patio.
So hold on, just to add to that point.
So-
The black plastic, is it considered impervious? You know,
Well,
even
no,
though
so
it's
hold
below
on,
the
so hold
ground?
on, so hold on. So what I'm saying is permanent impervious surface would be the roof and the concrete behind the house. The driveway's not paved, and the soil out behind the house, we have to assume that the black plastic has been penetrated in some way, shape, or form, or else the backyard would effectively be a pond when it rains and not a pond when it doesn't. So,
Yeah, fair.
so for her to pull out, when she's done pulling the black plastic up, there'd be no substantial change to document. Does that make sense? I know you're saying as far as documenting the existing conditions, but the before and after would be the same, from a survey standpoint.
It'd be like scraping away the B horizon of the soil, in another sense, right?
So I get that part. What I'm thinking about is, and this happens over time, is that, so
People make changes?
people make changes. A new owner, buys the property, they want to put in a beach or something. So they put in a beach, and then you say, no, you couldn't do that. You weren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to come to us. And they say, well, we have to have a basis for. It would be nice to have, a surveyed, a stamped plan saying this is the baseline
When she's done.
when she's done.
Okay. So I don't have a problem with that. It does introduce some additional cost for the project, and it isn't something that we discussed on the site that day, so probably something to move forward with her when we see her the next time, and explain to her that it is one of the criteria that we didn't talk about, but
Should be in
it
the next meeting.
is important to do. What we'll do is we'll talk about it, and then we'll have another site walk,
Well, I guess
So
it'd be
that
good
everybody- and potentially get there.
to see what's spelled out as a requirement
Yeah.
for the plan, and then for us to decide if we want to then waive
Yeah.
certain
So we-
requirements.
Sort of seeing, like what we were saying about the easement confirmation agreement with JAR Realty is, somebody else buys the property remains jurisdictional regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be jurisdictional,
Right.
if it's
So,
right on the pond or within the buffer zone, but I think it's important to know
yeah.
what you have as a basis for then reviewing anything that comes out of that.
No, I can see both sides. I guess the only part that, again, that is, an as-built plan is less effective if there aren't changes. And in this case, your as-built plan would really, you could make your as-built plan today.
Yeah, well, if they had a surveyed plan to start with,
Sure. They
I
just,
see that.
they just Right,
Right now,
as
we
built,
just
not
have,
as
right now, we
standard.
just have a sketch, a
Sure,
hand-drawn
sure.
sketch, so we don't have a lot to kind of hang our hat on.
No, I agree with that. So why don't we have that discussion with her and offer her the opportunity to do a formal plan at the beginning or a formal plan at the end, with the knowledge that at one way or the other, there has to be a formal plan.
Or we just had to wait that.
If it's so desired. So let's have that discussion on site that day and go through it. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I was reading, so the geosyntech plan is going to be finalized tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Um,
I swear he does these things right after our meetings every time.
One of the things they did mention was the water chestnut issue in Grove Pond. And so when I was doing my reading last week, that was a bit of a red flag. And Jess mentioned that nothing had happened with that.
Not as far as we're concerned, not for some time. Nothing's happened at Grove Pond.
Right. And I'd like to sort of get a ball rolling on doing that and taking care of that issue. Because water chestnut's kind of a big deal. And we ought to pull it.
I think it's a great idea. I would reach out to the NRWA for
I think it's going to take some organizing because we missed the season, obviously.
assistance, right?
But to figure out what we need to do here to create a plan to move so that next season, we can jump on that. Because one of the other things, that this map shows, Grove Pond is here, and then downstream of Grove Pond is, a really hot, beautiful piece of ecology that is a big deal. And it'd be nice not to, impose chestnut on that if we can pull that off.
And so the reason why I'm mentioning the NRW, they organize chestnut pulls every year, I think.
So we could just
On a
get
portion of
into
the
there.
Nashville River.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which this all feeds to the Nashville River. So
And they may or may not necessarily know about this particular
Right.
hatch.
But they certainly know how to organize.
Good, so then we
Work
can
parties.
skip the organizing in-house, just make sure.
I would see if they'd be willing to
Good.
assist with that.
No,
And
that's
they
good.
probably have a pool of 1,000 volunteers who they can send out a call to saying, hey, there's water chestnut in Grove Pond. Who wants to help pull it
Brilliant.
this Saturday? That kind of.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Good.
Is water chestnut pulled from boats or from standing in the water?
I think they do
Boats.
Yeah,
Boats.
generally it's a
Yeah,
kayak
canoe,
job.
yeah,
Canoe
kayaks,
job.
canoes.
Yeah. It's good. All right.
Well,
And then we'll see
are you
what else-
familiar at all with Grove Pond's history?
Only that it was abused heavily and heartily, and
Yeah, you don't want to be standing in the sediment.
Don't want to be in the water.
I also know that it's not all that accessible.
Actually, it's not terrible. There's at least 2 landing points to get into the water, and for car-chart boats, it'd be a piece of cake.
Mm.
So, but it would be a kayak job, and then you'd fill your kayak up, and you'd have to, or canoe, and you'd have to come back over to the edge and drop off there. And so, at that point, to me, the biggest organizational part is where does it go after that?
Yeah, the NRW would know how to sort of handle.
Right, and if they've already got the groundwork established for that kind of thing,
Yeah.
boom.
I assume burn it.
We can move on.
Probably, yeah.
What about Ayer, the landfill? Where all your waste, you can't put it into,
I don't think we have any open landfills.
There's
not open landfill, but, no, we take your sticks.
Oh,
your-
yeah.
the
Oh,
leaves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
Oh,
stuff.
no,
You dump it in
no
there?
compost for invasives. It's,
You can't compost that?
you could, but you don't want the threat of seeds
It
being
has to-
spread. And
You-
granted, it's aquatic versus,
Yeah, I think that would only be
Oh,
approved
yeah?
for if you had the kind of
Oh.
compost that really cooks the
Really
stuff.
cooks
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stuff,
that's real.
like heats it
Yeah.
up, real, yeah.
So,
Enjoy that huge microwave. Go on.
Yeah, so I'll chat with those guys and see about getting that arranged. We need to settle on November, December meeting dates.
So I got a lot of feedback from George. He was pretty demanding about skipping some of those meetings. So I feel your pain, George. So I'm willing to give in.
So do you want to stick to the regularly scheduled plan?
Well, so right now, we had meeting dates of the 5th and the 19th. So I'm going to guess, we've had 2 meetings, one for a project we'd already heard about, and do you have any other projects coming up other than the lady on Groton Harvard?
The only other thing that I have in the queue is a question about a COC or a partial COC for another property that's part of a development. And I just need to look into the paperwork first and see if it does or doesn't exist.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
here's what I think I would recommend then, and I'd like to hear folks' opinion. So if today's the 8th, we're already posted to have a meeting on the 22nd, and we have an applicant coming in that day.
Mhm.
That applicant is not planning to do the work this fall anyway because of the time frame, at least based on our conversation with her. So it doesn't really matter if we meet on the 5th, the 12th, or the 19th.
Which applicant were you talking about there?
I forget her name, I feel
Oh.
terrible.
Oh, Shuna?
Erica? Diana? Wait,
Karen.
Oh, it's right there.
Groton, Harvard. What about the, we'll probably what about the 78 Sand Pond?
well,
can probably
so we would
finish
have the, if we have the walk now, between now, we'd be
Yeah.
seeing him on the 22nd.
Right. Okay.
And I would assume that, I don't anticipate,
Yeah.
based on my walk of the property already, I don't anticipate any reason for us to
Okay.
hold that up for any further discussion. I would be interested in all your opinions,
Yeah.
but I don't picture it as being a real difficult one. So I guess I'm open to, so we've already posted that we would have a meeting on the 5th and the 19th. So we do have time to post if we wanted to change that to the 12th, or we can leave it on the 5th and skip the 19th and then reconvene on the 3rd. Anybody have any feeling about November 5th and December 3rd?
Just that would still, because Natick is 1st and 3rd.
Ah, right.
So I would obviously, the 5th and the 19th would be, I'd have to be here, but, then I'd miss there, and that's part of the whole point of raising the issue. So I would prefer the 12th.
All right. Does anybody have any issue with the 12th?
Mhm.
Right, so let's say boys, no boys, boys, no boys, boys, no boys. Perfect. Okay, so please post with the town clerk that the conservation meetings from the 5th and the 19th of November are canceled, and that we're going to have our meeting on November 12th.
And December 10th?
Let's look at December. Does anybody have any reason to not combine our 2 December meetings to December 10th?
I don't have an issue with that. The only thing I would.
I can't make it.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
What was your thought, Tosh?
Yeah, anytime that.
That phone has a calendar?
Amazing, isn't it? It takes
Be nice.
rainy photos, too.
I had one of those until last month.
But I can, chuck it against the wall and it'll still work.
I've thrown this against the wall several times.
I
See
can
the
see
cracks?
Try one more time. The only issue, and I mean, it rarely comes up as something that anybody calls out commissions on, but we do have technically we have a 21-day statutory deadline for taking action on any new application.
No, I agree with you,
So,
although it's interesting
I-
because many commissions only meet once a
Right,
month.
so I would just be ready to, if we do get applications that sort of fall, that are affected by our changing of the schedule,
Mhm.
just be prepared to notify the applicant and maybe have them sign a little waiver stating that they agreed to waive the 21-day requirement.
And that they're prepared to meet on that day that we're going to meet.
Mhm.
The other thing that you can mention to the applicant, which is probably the most crucial thing, is that we are getting to the point in the time of the year when we will not be able to make a decision on their property, because we will not be able to validate the wetland soils or vegetation.
Yeah, if they're under 6 feet of snow,
So, in fact, actually, quite frankly, we're right on the edge right now.
yeah.
Because as the trees lose their leaves, as the vegetation dies back, it becomes impossible for us to discern a wetland line or to figure out what the impact is going to be. And so we've had applications in the past, in the winter, where we've said, great, we'll see you in April for the site walk. So you can apply in November and get your permit in May, but that's about as good as it gets. So it probably won't make them feel any better, but the answer is that there isn't going to be action. There isn't going to be possible to take action once we get into the winter months. Okay. So Bonnie, you said you couldn't do the 10th?
I cannot.
Okay. Is anybody else restricted on the 10th? Okay. Bonnie, would you be devastated if we held a meeting without you?
No.
So why don't we say that our new meeting schedule will be November 12th and December 10th?
Thank you.
And then the only other thing I'd throw in, but we could do this on a different day too, would be when we get geosyntax drafts,
Mm-hmm.
and having a joint meeting with the Pond and Dam Committee. That's usually most of the meeting. So
Right.
that's the one thing I could see coming
Especially if you've got a busy schedule, for the,
up. Yeah.
when one meeting fills up with things to do.
Well, I think you'll find, certainly as we get into the winter,
Yeah,
busy
it'll be less
schedule is
to
not our
do.
problem.
Yeah.
So
Theoretically, who's to say, right?
stuff happens. Okay. So 12th and 10th, if you would be so kind, post that with the town clerk
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that it ends up on the website.
That's Cindy. And then also you have to talk to Carly about arranging room reservations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because,
We're going to lose this room, aren't we?
well, we lose it in those meetings anyways because the planning board.
Would we
Because
get
it's-
it back because we're changing back though to our normal day?
We should, but otherwise, when we switch those meetings times, we wind up on the planning board schedule.
Right.
So that's why we usually wind up upstairs or elsewhere.
Yeah, dig in on that one. All right,
Yeah, so
so
room assignments are important. Get that lined up with Carly.
people
Okay.
get pretty fresh about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Alright,
A
so
lot of
then-
strong feelings.
Moving down the list, in your package, you have a single NOI sheet all by itself, and that belongs to 78 Sandy Pond.
Yes.
And that is simply because Tash and I talked about this, the owner didn't want their name on it. And so there's no reason for him to have his name on it, really. He's got a representative who comes in and takes care of things.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think he had his.
No, the name was on the NOI I gave you, the initial
Oh,
one.
gotcha.
And so it's just a swap.
Okay.
Mark Wetzel sent a message that work started on Monday on the Stony Brook pumping station project at the end of New England Way. The contractor has installed the straw wattles, but they were still clearing brush on the back side of the project, so I couldn't check the complete installation. Shoot me an email if you have any questions.
Great.
So
Please
that,
plan to swing by there Monday, no matter what.
um,
Just so you don't miss a notice that comes in late in the day and.
Monday's a holiday.
Or Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
I'm actually in on Monday. I can, because the family is going visiting the in-laws.
Nice.
And I've got the place to myself. I'm like, why not work? More or
Can you
less.
get in the building?
That's a good question.
You have a key?
Not that I know of. Not to the front door.
Hmm.
But whatever. That just means now, tonight, I'll bring a bunch of the reading I need to do anyway.
So, I have a key.
Yeah, but then will I set the alarms off? Will the cops come?
I don't think there is one.
No alarm.
Mm.
So, yeah, no, so I can talk to Carly about, oh, this will be coming Monday. So should I just hand him the key, but he has to
That's
sign for it?
perfect.
Okay.
Well, let's do that after the meeting. So,
Okay.
so the best
Alright.
part is that, yes, if you'd like to come in and do that,
It'll be a nice quiet work day.
sure, you can think about the Arawak Indians.
In the Pacific Northwest, they call it First Nations.
Oh,
Or
do they?
Native Peoples Day or something like that.
I bet they do. I bet they do. And if you've read Howard's and People's History of the United States, you know all about Columbus's history. All right.
So, going on through the list here, the Autumn Ridge people lost their conservation restriction, and they came in this week, and I actually photocopied their whole CR.
Oh,
photos.
that's right, yeah,
Yeah.
that was mentioned before, right.
But they lost the whole thing, so that was unfortunate.
Let's say they lost their copy of it, they didn't lose it, it's there.
They don't know where it is. Yeah, it's
So, I mean,
somewhere.
the restriction itself is still there,
Still in place.
True.
the paperwork might be missing.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
right. Let's see, we did that. I'm gonna save that long story for the end.
We're at the end, go ahead.
Oh no, there's a few more things on my list, on my end, I suppose. I'm still waiting for Cindy to get me a quote on the software that I mentioned last meeting about doing all the indexing and downloading and da-da-da. So that's being kicked down the road. Right road, how'd that go?
So I went to the house, I knocked on the door, nobody answered. I went back to the house, I knocked on the door a second time, didn't get anywhere. So, actually, wait a minute, hold on. I'm thinking of, Right Road,
Yeah,
Yes.
six right room.
6. No answer, both times. So my guess would be that the next best thing for us to do is approach DEP and say, so we have a person who had an issue, is not responding, refused to accept our notice in the mail. What's the next step?
Was it a violation notice or an enforcement order?
Violation.
Was it violation?
Violation notice.
So next it would be the enforcement order, which will get copied to DEP, and that will trigger
Oh,
potentially any
So,
additional action that the state could provide. I don't know how interested they'd be in getting involved in this single family.
no, I don't know either, but you're right, so,
That would be the sort of the official channel to raise it up low to the DEP.
so as disappointing as that is, there was a vehicle in the driveway, in fact, when I was there knocking on the door, so.
In
I
terms
felt
of the
particularly
official,
put out.
the official line of behavior, is there any way to, like the cops to knock on the door, hand the envelope, or is that the wrong angle?
Did the violation notice go out certified mail?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, no, I
They
Well-
refused it.
maybe that might be worth a call or an email to Judy Schmitz, the circuit rider, to see what they would recommend, but I believe,
So ask her about the next steps
Yeah.
in either case.
yeah.
Okay.
Tell her we tried a personal visit and certified mail, no luck.
Okay. The MSNPC comments that come in the email, they're political, like please send letters in support of this stance. Do you guys generally do that? Don't do that?
Did Becky shield us from those so that we wouldn't talk about
I
them?
think mostly, yeah.
I don't think we've been exposed to them before.
Okay. Takashi, what do you guys generally do? You know what I'm talking about. Fair
For the
enough.
most part.
We are strictly apolitical. In
Okay.
fact, at one point, there were inappropriate remarks made at a meeting, and we were asked not to do it again.
That seems sensible if they were inappropriate.
Well, they were just mentioning a political candidate.
Okay.
I think it's more of a personal scale, right? You do it sort of from your own,
Yes, you may roll your eyes, but you may not speak.
yes.
Continue.
Okay. So then I will just also ignore those emails.
Well, I would suggest
Or-
that you are the professional that you've hired, so you
True.
can use your professional judgment as to whether you want to.
But this gets into the politicking thing of, if I'm representing this body and I, send a letter in support of something or add my name to a circulation of a petition or whatever going on, is that something that would be?
You don't have to sign it as Town of Ayer.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Just,
So my name's okay, the town of Ayer's name isn't.
again, I would say if it's something you want to
Okay.
respond to, attach your name to, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I would say if you want to represent the town, the Conservation Commission, you should definitely bring it to us first.
What kind of issues are we talking about?
I'm not sure, but is it related to the executive order from the governor trying to strip away all the regulations in the state?
I see.
And what is it? The MSMPC is the Massachusetts Society of Municipal Professional.
Municipal conservation.
Yeah. And they have an agenda. And
Everybody does.
yeah, and so while technically speaking, there's nothing that strikes me as being against what I should be doing professionally, you know, because it's the same crowd. Yeah, you know, that starts opening the political can, and we don't necessarily want to do that. But sometimes we do, and, you know, just seeing what the habits of this board tend to be.
I can tell you right now that it never came up before, which means that Becky decided she didn't want to spend the other hour and a half during one of our meetings discussing them. So if you'd like to forward them as emails so that people can review on their own, that's swell. Other than that,
All right.
it's probably the best way to go forward.
Let's see, we were talking, we being Jess and myself, about getting the bylaw conversation going again.
Where are we?
No, what's the bylaw conversation?
It's a January discussion. That's the best part about it.
Well, I had mentioned, you know, because Al Futterman had mentioned at his last presentation that, you know, part of that project, they could also be available to help towns beef up their bylaws. And last fall, Takashi and I had expressed excitement at the idea of it, and then Becky left us. So that went nowhere. But one of the things that I was just mentioning that you guys have brought up is the need to figure out what the difference is between bylaw versus regulation.
Sure.
And so I was just mentioning that was something Brian could at some point research
Well,
for our January discussion.
No, that sounds like a great plan. So the best thing to do would be to figure out. So, are you familiar with bylaws versus regulations?
Only vaguely. It seems deeply arcane, but I'm going to get very familiar very quickly.
That's the best part. So, I think it's actually, I think it's probably a lot simpler than you might think. The difference is in how they get enacted and then what teeth they have. So, that's probably where we need to start, and that seems like MACC should be able to help you, and National River Water, so, and RWA, always have to do that, would be able to assist as well. So it sounds like a great place for us to start. So maybe in December we should start with the regulations and bylaws and see where you get as far as what would we have to do to strengthen our existing bylaw. And then we can focus the discussion in December and then have a real one in January.
Okay.
And as it stands right now, hopefully, based upon the fact that we don't have a whole lot of applicants, and clearly a lot of the political stuff that was gnawing away at Becky's ear the entire time is behind us. So hopefully you'll have the time to actually be able to sit down and do stuff that's positive for you and us. That'd be great.
Brilliant. So now the last item, the most interesting to my sense. This is 129 Culver Road.
And we had this the building inspector.
Right. And how when we last left it, I was going to write up a violation and deliver it and all that. Well, that never happened. I got in touch with the state, talked to the circuit rider. She was lovely. Gave me some hints on the distinction between the two and which one would be more appropriate. And I was probably halfway done with putting it together, and I got another call from the state I didn't write his name down, but basically he said, whoa, hold your horses there, buddy. They have a DEP number that was originally from 2003. They were going to put in an 11-lot subdivision. The Concom and the Planning Board and Ayer both denied them. They bumped it up to the state. The state gave them a permit. Nothing happened. They got the permit extended, nothing happened. They got the permit extended, nothing happened. 2009 comes around, everything crashes, all the permits get extended. They got the permit extended.
Hold on. Who extended the permit in the middle? The state? So the state never copied us on permits they extended?
I have no files whatsoever. The DEP file number is 100-231, and up in the closet in the attic.
How is that possible?
So he found this in the old files, which
I
are
went-
not incorporated with.
Yeah, I went to the old files that are done by filed by number, and the new files in the office are filed by address. the address is empty, the subdivision name is empty, there's no subdivision I could find in there. And our old files only go to 100-217, and they're filed in order. And those the 200 to 217 are in a box behind a thing under a lamp. So yeah, completely left out. They did sell the lot to the current developer. KRT, Kingsbury Realty Trust, was the original owner and developer. And then, Gary Domain is the one who filled me in. I did have the name here.
Did he indicate who would have been responsible to check the erosion controls or any of those other things?
Well, it was a superseding order of conditions, so the state was all in charge of this, and they've been doing all the work the whole time, theoretically, which might be why we never heard about this from our own people, because they were following the rules and reporting to the people who did have the order of conditions. So then in, I think it was 2011, there was an amendment to the project for a single-family lot, single-family unit, and they amended the project from 11 to a 1, and then it happened. And so according to Gary, should just let it wait, let it sit. They have asked for their certificate of compliance, and he is planning a sidewalk in the next little bit, and he's invited me along. He knows I'm on Monday, Tuesday schedule, so he's got to schedule accordingly. And if you want to pursue any kind of further actions, we're going to wait until that's done, because from a legal standpoint, anything this commission does bounces off of the state's paperwork. And then I talked to Michelle Gerard after to find out just like what happened here, like what went wrong, why is this so new and why is this so old at the same time. And her advice was simply that somewhere along the line somebody left this out, because this is pre Becky and pre the woman who did a little bit of planning and a little bit of conservation.
No, she would have been there for this, but doesn't
Pre
mean she didn't lose
everybody on
it.
the board. Who knows who at the state was actually in charge or involved or whatever. You just go digging around in the ghosts and muddying things up, and her advice was just let it be the project. Nothing's really wrong out there. It doesn't necessarily require any action, really. And her advice was to move forward rather than back, so to speak. And that's the story.
So I assume that's good advice. Please reach out to Gary on Monday and ask him, actually you're not going to get him on Monday. Did he give you an email address? Do you have another way to reach him other than phone?
I can look up his email.
Okay, so we'd like a copy of the file.
When he does the sidewalk, he's going to bring everything with him.
Great. Okay. Bring it into the meeting afterwards. And then what we'll probably do is we'll talk about sending a quick query off to Joe Bellino, excuse me, or Miss or Judy, and ask them if they could be so kind as to let us know if there are any other superseding orders of conditions in the town of Ayer that they haven't bothered to let us know about.
Fair question.
Seems like a
Yeah.
reasonable thing to ask, so that we're not, we certainly would have preferred not to have come to this point, but since we didn't know that they were overseeing it, how would we know?
Also, in that is Michelle is gonna said she'd have a chat with Gary and see just how this happened, because it seemed like a really good learning opportunity to figure out how and when the state takes over projects, what the lines of communication are supposed to be.
Well, see, what's interesting about it is that in the past, even with a superseding order of conditions like we have at Elizabeth Estates, the state then says to us, okay, here it's coming at you. You're our eyes and ears in the field. So how did this particular project end up that no one was watching it?
Right. And that's the open question, and hopefully I can get an answer to you eventually, but maybe not.
Well, there's only a couple of answers, so it shouldn't be too hard. Were or they weren't.
Yeah,
That's
and,
it.
and one answer is simply ball got dropped.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the weren't.
And that is that's my list.
Excellent. All right. So we had a couple of action items for you over the next week or two, so that sounded pretty good. CPC.
Met last night, nothing new really. Sandy Pond School Association is proceeding apace on plans to get a conditions assessment.
Sandy Pond School.
The schoolhouse,
Sure, sure.
the historic schoolhouse.
Excellent. Storm water. I just like saying it out loud. Pond and dam, nothing.
Stormwater, eventually we'll have to appoint somebody if they ever start meeting again to, because that was Lee. So,
Greenway. And Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee.
hasn't met recently either.
Got it. Jess, do you have any updates?
Only that I talked to somebody from the state. Brian had circulated a copy of an email. The state has received a number of phone calls about complaining about the level of Flanagan Pond.
Have they?
Did you hear anything back from Chief Pedrazi? No. At any rate, saying there must be something wrong with the dam and stuff. So.
So they called the state and not the town?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and she'd asked for somebody to call her, so I gave her a call the other day and explained that, Flanagan Pond being the flooded wet meadow that it is, will show the effects of drought much more drastically than Sandy Pond.
Right, and
And
I don't think the fire department has done anything with the dam yet.
No, we did and she was happy to hear us say this, we did say we just have the chief check see the boards are still in. Although I
Sure.
did point out that in a few weeks we'll be asking them to take the boards out for the
Everything's
season.
low now.
Right. So, but we haven't heard back then, right? So, but that's all we can do. But I did tell her some of the history. We've had people come in here in the past during really bad droughts and say the water level's really low, and it's like, well, if you go back to Long Pond Dam, there's no water coming over. So, and I did actually check the Long Pond Dam.
It's disappointing we don't have more control over these things.
Right. But the, in the past with the beaver buildup, we could get a huge differential between water on one side and there isn't. It's, half inch or whatever. So the fact that water isn't coming over that dam has everything to do with drought.
Not the beavers or anything
Right.
else.
Unless something was taken out of Balch Dam, but I sort of think there's
I don't
just
think
no
so.
water coming in. So.
Well, we only got, what did we get, 2.25 inches of rain the other day, so it wasn't gonna make up for
Right.
what we didn't get.
Yeah. And I was just reminding myself that, I'll look up in our minutes, but I do think we added on a maintenance agreement with Beaver Solutions. And so this would be approaching the year mark, so he should be coming to do annual maintenance on our
Sounds like a good
receivers.
topic for the 22nd.
Do you want to approve minutes? We skipped that at the
Oh,
beginning.
yeah,
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Right.
yeah, and,
Speaking of.
and I should remind you that one of the things Becky always started to do about this time of year was put together an official sort of meeting date list for 2016. So, and then we give that to Cindy, and that's what we post to our website. But it's not absolutely set in stone because we're changing it.
On that note,
And when she does that list, once we all agree to it, which we usually do, then she passes it on to Carly, who
reserves the rooms.
reserves the rooms, gets us on the schedule for all of that.
On that note, with the theme of reducing the meetings in the winter, if that's something you guys want to chew on for January, February, March, April, when there's, it's the same kind of thing, what your habits and patterns are, if they're going to be.
No, I think I'd rather,
I think the benefit of the winter meetings without anyone here is we can actually attend to some of the stuff we'd like to attend to. The
That's
meetings
fair.
seem to fill up no matter what. It's 9:30 and we talked about 2 things tonight. So the meeting seemed to fill up anyway.
We did great, actually, up until we got off of the timed bit. We were ahead of schedule.
So those are the best meetings for conversations about like the bylaw and such.
Okay. So
And,
I'll keep it on the same pattern.
They're the only way to. It's the only way to dig in and do them.
Fair enough.
I think that's it for me for now.
All right.
I'm good.
MACC conference next weekend, 17th.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Me too. To Devon's.
Is it really?
Wait, where is it?
Devon's.
It's right here?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Where were you going to go?
Next weekend?
17.
I was just reading about all the descriptions of
yeah,
it, but I
I think
haven't
it's
looked
It's
at
this
the
weekend.
If you had the opportunity to sign up, you should sign up.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Are you going to be able to make it, Brian?
Yeah, already signed up.
Good. Good. I'm assuming you're going.
No, I'm not going.
Only if you have to drive.
There's another conference on the 24th related to wildlife habitat.
Yeah, that one I can't go to.
Which
That's
Diana
one.
wanted to. I had to choose one of the two, and I chose the wildlife one. That one's not at Devon.
You
It's in West.
animal, you.
It's in Westboro at the new Mass Wildlife headquarters.
That's pretty cool.
Which I've heard good things about them building and stuff.
It's a lovely building.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They did great work with that building.
So I will be going to that on the 24th.
That sounds pretty exciting.
Can we get a storytelling report on? Because I have to miss it, and I was kind of down about that. So
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
I mean, there's no filming, but you know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Anything else? And you've covered yours? You're good?
I'm good.
All right. Let's do the meeting minutes.
And you're clear what to do with that bill payment that goes to Lisa, goes to Marcia.
yeah, chat with her. She basically was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Just bring me the bill when it's signed. You guys don't have enough bills to worry about having your own process."
That's right. It was Karen. Since I haven't checked email in 2 weeks, did Mr. Futterman send the electronic copy of the presentation?
Yes.
Excellent. That Carver Road thing is gonna eat at me.
Oh. I did remember one other little thing.
Does that have to do with meeting minutes?
No.
Oh.
All right. I don't have any questions about the meeting minutes. George, do you?
No.
Action.
Just one minor correction. Page 1 under the public meeting for 78 Sandy Pond Road. Fourth bullet, change you move to issue a positive determination.
What did I put?
Position.
Positive position.
We did issue a position.
It was positive. We should probably note that. Excellent.
That was
All right, Bonnie, any changes for you, dear?
I do not see any.
Excellent. I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes from 9/24/2015 with only positive comments on them.
Bada bing.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. That was 9/24, right?
Yep. And
Okay.
And
And
I
your
did-
last thing?
My last thing was actually the supplementary briefing order on your property.
Oh, yes.
The deadline for response is October 20th. And I emailed Robert again, like, has town council said anything about whether we need to respond or not? And have not heard. So town council seems to be moving at its usual glacial pace.
Well, actually, I think now we're gonna have to come up with a different term, because the glaciers are moving a lot faster than town council. So I guess we'd have to say that the town council is moving at town council pace, which is sad. So,
Congressional base.
congressional pace, there you go.
Oh.
Be nice.
Pros the opposite of con, right? Mr. Chairman and Conservation Commission, I do have a concern, as a citizen concern, just walking around Pingree Hill. I noticed that there aren't any DEP signs up. There should be DEP numbers
That's
and
interesting.
signs. And I haven't seen, and I guess, I don't know if you guys have jurisdiction over making sure that the signs are posted, but
We do, although I know if you're referring to the new construction, a lot of the new work is not jurisdictional. A lot of that work up that hill is
Right,
not
but-
jurisdictional.
But we have had lots 29 and 30,
Right.
and there's no signs.
Interesting.
I'm walking around, I see these placards on the ground that were painted as if they were gonna put some signs up, but they're not going anywhere. I guess I would like to see, just as a citizen, those DEP signs
No, that's a,
displayed, if there's any way that you can help.
no, that's hugely appreciated. So you should have Mr. Mulaney's email address. So as much as it makes sense to write to Mr. Roper directly, Mr. Mulaney is definitely his counsel in that. So just please remind him that any missing any parcels that are under an order of conditions should have a posted DEP sign. And if you would please make sure that that's been taken care of.
It is one of the general conditions spelled out in the DEP standard form.
What were the lots?
So
No.
Oh, no?
That's the best part.
So
we're gonna,
if you just reference that general condition, number 8 or whatever it is, that is where it's
Yeah,
specifically listed as a requirement.
I know the 2 examples, but, had they, it would also help I submit that it would help the commission in the dealings that we're having right now,
Right.
regarding the responses to the DEP, the supplemental order. The lack of the sign would be an indication there's something wrong. That you're out there, you think, hey, there's a wetland there, I thought we had an order of conditions on this, where's the sign? Would be another way for the commission to be able to say, what's going on?
It's also, I appreciate that, Mike, it's also a good way for you to familiarize yourself with it if you drove around, because if you were to pass through that and you were trying to find one of the parcels, one of the problems, one of the reasons that I believe the sign is crucial and why it's covered in the regulation is that until there's a house there with a number on it, it's pretty tough to figure out which number 15 is. So unless you've got the DEP sign, you can't tell if you're at the right spot. So it is important, and especially with new lots where the soil work is just happening. So if you let Mr. Mulaney know that there are missing signs,
yeah.
Mr. Mulaney knows enough about us to know that he needs to go out and put them up.
Is that with A or O or E?
Oh, M-U-L-L. I'll put it this way. If you go into your email and you query Steve, you'll find Steve Mulaney.
Start off with STE, because I think it's in there as Stephen, PH.
Okay.
And if you want to maybe strengthen it, you could also just say, for example, lots 29 and 30 on Holly Ridge Road
Right.
have open orders of conditions
No signs.
and no signs.
Right, I like having the example of
Yeah.
a missing, this isn't just a general, hey, you're missing stuff. It's
Right.
actually, no, we've heard,
Yeah.
people are watching.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
I suppose lots with superseding orders should have their own signs.
Absolutely.
So you can talk to DEP and tell them to get their signs up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they were checking on that. All right. If there's nothing else, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye.